Inspired and tired, that's the gist of our podcast. Inspired, but we're tired. Should we create or should we take a nap?
Create.
Nap. We should definitely nap.
Chase, we're doing the show.
That's right. Of course we're doing the show. Yeah, no, that's what I said. Yeah. Inspired and Tired with your hosts, Chase and London. Did you like the intro?
I did. Yeah, that was great.
What do you think of that?
That was wonderful.
London did some acting.
I heard that was great. And you sang?
And I sang and played guitar.
Oh, you played the guitar too.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, she's a triple
Triple threat over
Oh,
here.
I've seen
Yeah.
both.
Well, we're really excited to have you on because you don't know what the show is about.
I heard the intro and I think I'm going to take a guess.
Yeah,
I
give
would
us
love
a
that.
guess.
I'm going to say you're inspired and tired.
Good. Yes.
But, I mean, tired about what? Being inspired?
Yeah.
It can be
It can-
exhausting to continually create and make and do, and we get tired.
Oh, my God. I know this struggle.
Well, this is why you're on the show today.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, great.
We
So-
had a feeling.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll do a quick little intro for
Okay,
those
please.
of you who don't know you, who I don't know of anyone who doesn't know you.
I know a lot of people.
But
that don't.
this, well, I guess first of all, this is Inspired and Tired with Chase and London, where we'll be discussing and exploring different ways to tap into your creative spirit and live an unconventional life.
Doing what you love.
All right.
Yeah. Do you love?
I love it.
Okay.
I can't wait to get some tips because I've been struggling.
Oh, well, we're actually interviewing you today on
Oh,
your...
shit. My bad. I wish you told me about the show beforehand. I would have come in with let me write down some tips.
No, this is what we want. We want the true, authentic version
Oh,
of your
boy.
creative
All right.
process and how you do what you do.
I'm excited.
So why don't you first start by introducing yourself to those that don't know who you are?
Well, my name is Josh Potter, and I'm a comedian and podcaster.
Correct. Bingo.
right.
Yay! I wish I was more of both things. But
Really? I think you're very much...
I do too. I think you're very balanced with the two. You do stand-up shows, you do
Thank you.
podcasts. I mean,
Yeah, I'd like to do more
Of
stand-up
what?
shows.
More stand-up
Well,
shows.
you know, the calendar, I took a couple of months off of the road.
was that
Honestly, same.
It was deliberate, and I
Okay.
hated every second of it. It's been, I can't
Really?
wait to get back out there.
What was the deliberateness you just needed?
I wanted to, this is so lame of me to say out loud, I wanted to gain perspective on where my life is at right now so I could write more about like where I am now.
That's so beautiful.
Well, yeah, and I didn't do any, I spent the last 2 months just like in a tailspin, like just untethered.
Well,
Just-
this is perfect because what you did was you tried to write new material of where your life is at. And this is what we're talking about. Where do we get that inspiration to write new stuff?
Yeah, it wasn't even like, I didn't expect to write. I wanted to just figure out like, what do I even want to write about now?
Yeah.
Because like I've spent the last, 15 years writing about, my childhood or like dating or whatever. And I'm like, where am I now? And like,
Right.
what do I want to talk about now?
And sometimes like traveling and being busy, you don't have that time to...
No, it's like you can't write about airplanes all the time or
I
like
mean, I would like
hotels.
some airplane and hotel content personally. It's
Okay.
very relatable.
There's
But-
so
Is it?
much of that.
Yes.
I
Well,
wonder about that though, because how many of the average person are in a hotel or airplane I feel like you can get into like this echo chamber of writing about like, and then I was at the bus station, and people are like, I don't ever do that,
Well, they can live vicariously through you. Wow, what a glamorous life of travel and hotel. And
A lot of comics have travel material.
is that right? I hear dating. I hear dating. I hear dating.
Yeah, dating and sex is like
big
another
one.
trope, obviously, but like you can get into like just into a reality that isn't relatable anymore. I feel like,
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking about this amazing book called The Artist's Way. And
I've heard of that.
Have you done it?
No, I've heard of it.
It's
though.
a 12-week
Buckle up.
course. And yeah, buckle up. It's big. But one of the things that she talks about is you need to like take a break sometimes in order to get that creative energy coming through you again. And you can't just work because then those ideas stop. So do you feel like you had any epiphanies with this 2 months of just getting to be?
I think the further I am removed from this past couple of months, I will then have gained perspective on it, as weird as that sounds. Without getting into all the details, I found myself entangled in a whirlwind like romance that ended up in
you
Shambles.
did. Cheers.
No, cheers to the shambles.
Well, whirlwind romances.
Yes.
Cheers.
We can always cheers about that.
So I mean, a lot of the time was spent, maligned over that whole thing, and so and now I'm can't wait to get back on the road so I can forget about that, and then maybe removing myself from it, I'll gain some gems. I already wrote a couple
so it was
of things.
almost like you took the 2 months, you lived your life,
Yes.
and now you have material that you can write from your life.
Hopefully, yeah.
And were you beating yourself up? Oh no, my 2 months is almost up and I haven't written anything. Or you knew the process was, let me just live my life and material will come.
I would have liked to have spent it, hitting more mics and bar shows and things like that, and like grinding some things out. But at the end of the day, I think like living the life will end up being more productive than having done that. So
That's very wise.
that's the only regret. I don't have any. I mean, I wish that I spent it more productively, but like I said, or like you said, I guess I was living my life, and that will like yield fruits or what have you down the road.
Yeah. So when you find yourself writing material in the future and when you have in the past, is it we've actually I think talked about this before, but is it like you sit at your desk and you write, or it just comes to you when it comes to you?
Yeah, what's that process like when
I
you
wish
do-
I was a sit-down guy.
So you stand up and write.
I mean, I do sometimes.
Literal stand-up
Yeah.
comedian. Yes.
I write a lot in the shower, which
With
is
what
weird.
utensil?
No, it's just
In his
mine.
head.
Oh, in your mind.
Yeah. And then like
I was like, I need a waterproof pen.
that would be cool if I
It
could
would.
just
I
like
think
I have
pens
taken
are-
notebooks like into the bathroom and like poked my head out of like the curtain and written things down. But
So in the shower that's when you're flowing.
that's what I'm thinking. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Well, she talks about this in The Artist Way. She says the shower, driving,
Walking.
they're all some
I miss
sort of...
driving for that reason. I wrote so many jokes driving, and I don't
yeah,
drive anymore.
I
So
did-
it's like, where does that go?
It went to the shower.
I went to the shower.
Yeah.
It's in the bathroom.
How long has it been since you haven't driven?
Last time I drove a car was Christmas of 2018.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And do you
I guess that's been 5
I miss
years.
it.
You
I
miss
miss
it, yeah.
screaming at my windshield, like not screaming like profanities or like obscenities or anything like that at drivers. I miss like scream singing
Yeah, you're
when
just
no
in the
one's paying
safety of your car.
attention. You can't even do that in your apartment.
Well,
People outside you
yeah.
or whatever.
What would happen if you drove?
I think I could get by. I mean, I just feel like I would have fender benders or whatever. I was already having some, so I just hate.
Because
I hated
you're-
owning a car too. Like I was so bad at like, I'm bad at forms and like papers,
Registration was
all that shit. Yeah, I was
the
so bad.
paperwork.
Oh my god!
I
it
got
was-
in a fender bender like a week ago. Some kid just
Oh, yeah.
rammed into my bumper.
Oh
We
my
were on
God.
the phone and Lyndon
Yeah.
goes, I think I just got hit.
Yeah, he hit my bumper and then backed right up into a woman and smashed into her door. She
Oh
had a
my
much bigger
Lord.
situation than
And
me.
London
but
didn't get any of his info.
too much paperwork.
And you're supposed to get info. She
hate
didn't.
paperwork.
I hate paperwork.
If it's like
it looked
you're like
fine.
whatever.
I
Yeah,
was like,
exactly.
you deal with the other lady
You
yelling
know,
at you.
I talked to Mo. We call her Mom.
our mom.
Oh, it's your mom.
And
Oh, she's so mad.
Oh, she was like, she didn't get his info. And I was like, don't tell her that I told you this.
She already gave me the
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
to.
You don't know what damage could
Yeah.
be done.
Yeah.
She's worried I'm gonna get like an injury 6 months from now from my little like. But
You're all of a sudden have a thing in your neck.
yeah,
a crick in your
exactly.
neck.
Must
Thing
have
in
been
your
from
neck.
that subtle bump. But I don't think it's a bad idea. When I lived in New York, I loved not having a car. It was very like freeing, and
That's
didn't
how
have
it
to
felt
deal
when I
with
moved
it.
here.
Yeah.
I was like kind of excited about not having a car, and it saved me money. And I live near the subway. Now I moved to a more residential area, and I can't walk to the subway as easy. And
You bird.
I
or?
feel a little isolated. I could bird, I guess. I kind of want to get one of those bikes that are battery or whatever,
Electric?
electric.
Yeah.
They have a little.
I don't even know what it is. It's like you push it, right? And you go.
Yeah.
And
You don't
it
need
just
to pedal
goes.
it. Yeah.
And then you could get the flow going again.
Right.
By
And then I'll get
yeah.
hit by a car because I'll be paying attention.
Do you have like a morning routine?
Oh,
that
we
gets- that
love
gets you
talking
in the
about
mood?
morning
I
routines.
love
Josh,
morning
what
routine.
is your morning
What's your
routine?
morning
Well,
routine?
I wake up around 4:30 p.m.
No, you do not.
No, it's 12 p.m. right now. You're
That's
up.
like earliest I've been awake in a while. No, I'm terrible at mornings. I'm more of a late night guy.
You stay up until 4
Oh
a.m.
yeah. I mean, I'll see the sun come out, and then there's something working when I used to work morning radio. There
What
was
time did
something
that start?
That would be like 5 a.m. till 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And there was something about coming home and going to bed while everyone was at work that made me feel like great. I would hear the birds outside chirping, and then I would like go to bed and I'd be like, everyone's going to work now and I'm going to bed, and I would feel like so cozy.
I'm sorry, 5 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yes.
So you'd get home at 1 p.m. and everyone was just going to work.
No. But I mean, like, everyone's at work. Or like
Okay,
sometimes I did overnights too, where it'd be like midnight to 6 a.m. And then you'd get home at like 7 a.m. or whatever. And I'd get like breakfast and I'd
And then
eat
you
like an
just
egg
sleep.
McMuffin. And then I'd go to sleep at 7:30. Everyone's like going to work. Oh,
This
it
is
felt
maybe
great.
the oddest morning routine I've ever heard in my life.
But nowadays, I mean, I'm actually trying to figure that out too, because, you know, when I first moved here, I had to get a regular job, and I worked in an office for like 6 months, and then I worked at your mom's house, which was like a normal, like, go to work at 10 and then leave at like 5, even though
How
like
did you get this job at your mom's
Yeah.
house? You were just in radio?
I worked in radio, and then Tom was like, I worked with Tom on the road. And then I remember he was like, hey, I'm starting up a studio. Do you want to work there? And I'm like, more than anything. And
So this was a big, like, nice aha moment in your life.
Oh,
like,
that was a huge moment. Yeah. I mean,
a
I
big
was
shift.
got me out of that office forever. I hope I don't go back. I mean, I have like, what's the Will in Stranger Things, like where I feel like I'm going into the upside down and I'm like, oh my God, it's coming.
That's
coming
the
back.
scary thing about being our own bosses and living a creative life is we always are like, it's going to end. Like,
Yes.
I'm supporting myself right now, but it's not. Whereas like if we had a 9 to 5, you have that safety and comfort.
Right. Where you go like, well, they have to go through a really lengthy process to fire me.
Exactly.
But I was excited to get that opportunity, and that was, like I said, a regular day. But now I find myself with empty days all the time. Just now with the 2 months, that was kind of an experiment.
What a fun
I thought maybe I could get
experiment.
like, oh, I'll start working out. I'll do yoga. I'll do all this shit. I
There
had
we
all these
go.
plans.
Yeah, and
None of them came to fruition out of immense depression.
I can't see you doing yoga.
I do it time to time.
Wow.
I'm actually very flexible.
Do you do the hot yoga?
Really?
No, I just do it in my apartment.
Okay.
You don't do the Bikram yoga?
No.
Wow, you're very flexible.
Yes.
I
Good
think
to
that's a
know.
fun fact people don't know.
Fun fact, folks, flexible.
Wow.
London.
But yeah, I have a hard time filling
Too.
the days.
You're great.
It is tough. I am very flexible as well. But no, I find that too challenging when I have like a big project or I'm working really hard and then you have this time and you almost want to give yourself the time to do nothing. But also then you're like, I need to be productive. I need to use this to move forward. And I think it's okay sometimes to just chill
This
and
is
give
what
yourself that
I'm
can't.
struggling with.
Is it?
I can't.
Tell
What
me
a great
more.
segue. I'm struggling with because I have been on the road so much, and then the past, I want to say 2 months also, because I just haven't been on the road. I've been doing like shows, but if I travel, it's like San Diego or Santa Barbara,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden. I've had a lot of anxiety that like, oh my God, but I'm so used to go, 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 go. And I'm not go, 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 go. And I'm obviously doing something wrong. And my mind goes crazy. And I'm like learning that that's just my mind. And it's okay that I need to learn how to be okay, not busy all the time.
Yeah, I have the opposite problem.
Tell us.
I love not being busy. It's my favorite thing. And then when I have things I have to do, like I'm talking mundane bullshit things that I don't want to do.
I understand.
I see them on the list and I go, oh God. And then I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm giving myself a day. I have the opposite
you don't
issue.
have guilt. You don't have
tremendous guilt.
Oh, okay.
But I will just live in it.
Now, when you're
I have
taking
tremendous guilt too, but I I struggle with it. Sorry, you had a
No,
question.
please. I was just saying, when you do take these days for yourself, do you like to watch, binge any shows?
They are literally comprised of me laying in bed, sometimes death scrolling on my phone.
Yeah. Oof. But
Ugh.
see, no, oof. The
See, I have
Can't get out of it.
I have the
Anxiety.
time limit. I have it on my phone. I set
Ooh.
the time limit so I can only be on social media
Well, I
for
have
30
the
minutes a
time
day, and
limit.
it pops up, and then I'm like, okay.
But you can go ignore, and
But-
I just ignore every time.
But it stops me from the death scrolling because I do
Yes.
find myself very aware if it pops up and I'm doing that
Mm.
to then be like, okay, stop.
Yeah, I've just tried to be an adult about it. I'm like, I throw the phone at the other side of the room, and I just, I literally throw it, and then I just go, get away from me, and then I'm like, take a nap or something, you know?
What's
Yeah, just
your
take a nap.
That's my
well,
answer
see,
for everything.
inspired and tired. You're on the
Yes.
same
You're
boat
on
as
the
me.
right show.
Love a nap. Oh boy, I could nap.
I love a nap. London
I
has
hate
never
it.
napped.
I don't nap.
How,
I
when,
nap.
do you sleep 8 hours like solid every
No,
time?
the
She
last
just
time
doesn't believe in napping.
I napped in 2018 was the last time I napped.
When I drove.
Yeah, when you drove, and it was only because I was so jet lagged that
That's wild.
I took a
Can
nap.
you believe? She
I don't
puts
nap.
me down for napping. She
I do
broke
get
up with a
annoyed.
guy because he napped.
He napped so
Can you-
What's so much?
Can you believe this?
I want to hear
every
that.
day.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Deuce, what are
We
you
would
doing?
not get along.
I
Well,
mean,
and
I'm
then
gonna nap after this show. I gotta do what I'm gonna go home, nap, and come back in.
it's noon.
I know.
Why are you napping?
She makes me feel so guilty for napping.
Oh my gosh! But it's fine.
There's-
To each their own.
I've heard
Listen,
this.
I go to myself. This is bad. This is where it gets bad
Let's hear it.
because I say there were times where I'm like, I just want to delete this day.
Okay.
So I'll just sleep it all the way through.
That's same. Sometimes I don't want to deal with life.
I just made her like physically ill.
If you don't want to deal with life, and
Right.
some call it depression.
That's exactly.
Oh,
yeah, I have that.
You sleep.
I knew that one. I have that. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I'll just sleep because I don't want to deal with it.
Yes.
It's easier. All the emotions are so intense that sleeping is the only way to get rid of them.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't think you've had to struggle with depression as much as Josh and I.
Well, not.
Well, that's not.
I
we
don't
have to
sleep,
Judge.
but
I'm not judging. I think that's good.
right. No, it's I'm grateful for that, but I feel like everybody like takes those emotions and uses them in a different way. Like I can find myself just then working too hard and not sleeping and not having a work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I get too caught up in the work and put everything else to the side. And I don't think that's healthy
No.
if you spend your time doing all that. So everybody kind of translates those emotions
I
differently.
wish I was like one of these people that's like, I have anxiety, so I just cleaned my whole house.
Me
like that would be
too.
amazing. If
Yeah.
there was something productive that came out of the anxiety. Whereas I get like, it's not anxiety, it's immense dread, and it just like
Yeah, I get
Builds
that
up.
too.
puts me off. I go, well, today's a wash. We'll see you tomorrow, and then I just
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
Me too, Josh.
Yeah.
There's
Okay,
some-
another cheer.
Cheers.
Yay.
This reminds me of something. So I don't know if either of you guys, I haven't seen this movie in years, but it's called Click with Adam
Yes.
Sandler.
did
Yeah.
not see us going
Okay.
with click.
Now, listen
You
to
brought
this.
this up last week on my
It's,
birthday.
I know, because it's been
Mark Twain Award winner
Yeah, he
for
just received the Mark
2023.
Twain
Adam
Prize
Sandler.
Oh, I did see that on TV. His face popped up
Mm-hmm.
yesterday.
last night.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about this.
Okay, so the movie Click. In it, it's a simple plot. He has a remote where he can fast forward through his life. And
Yes.
he ends up missing his kid's life.
Well, I'm lucky I don't have one of those.
Well, you're lucky
because
for
otherwise I
that.
would sleep right through all of it.
But that's what I think about when things come up that I don't want to do, and I'm like, oh, if I could only fast forward 1 hour and I'd be already done with it. It's like, no, honey.
You're going to miss your kids' lives.
Don't get in the click state of mind. You need to live
You're
those
right.
moments
That's beautiful,
in order
Lyndon.
to come out the other side. It's going to go fine. Just be there and do it. So perhaps a little gem.
That's
the next
that's
time you want to
interesting.
sleep your way through an
I
hour
do,
or two of the day, just be like, I'm not clicking.
I do have immense guilt about it. I will say, like, I've brought it up in therapy too. Like, I try to delete, like, I feel like I deleted a whole week or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say it like that, and then I'll go, you're 37. You only got, like, a few more weeks left, really, at the end of the day. If you think about it.
I feel like being in our 30s is like the end of our lives.
Yeah, me too.
Even though we have a long way to go.
I know they say that, but it's like all this way now. You know what I mean? It's like we already,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've even said like after this kind of like not, I guess it's a breakup. I don't really know what to call it. But I was like, how many? Because I'm a bald man, so like I remember like counting down the haircuts. Yes, and I remember going like, this is the last time I'm going to probably pay for a haircut, or I got maybe like 2 more in me, and it's feeling that way with like girls. I go like, how many more like times do I have feeling this way about another person left?
I feel the same way.
Well, for you, this statistic maybe isn't so great for us, but men
can go all their life.
Are most attractive to women when they are around 37, 38, whereas
I've
women,
told you this.
We peak.
I said you're in your prime.
When we're 23 is when we're most sexually attractive.
Isn't this just awful to hear from me?
I didn't mean it exactly towards. I'm trying to boost Josh up. He's our guest.
Thank
Chase.
you. No, yeah. I know that trope is there, but it's like also, I mean, I'm dated.
He's dated, he's jaded.
Yes. Where you go like the connection with a person becomes less easily obtained because you get older and you become a little more finite in your what you're looking for, obviously. You know what you don't want and you know what you do. And you go like, how many more people am I going to meet along the way that check those boxes?
Yep. What's your biggest box that needs to be checked?
Yeah,
This I do not know.
Cars?
I don't know anymore.
Do they
a
need
car?
to drive?
Is that fun? That's funny. No, I don't have any really set parameters necessarily, I don't think.
Okay.
I'm open to attractions of all sorts, but when one comes along and you're like, wow, you're like, holy shit.
I think my biggest thing is, because a lot of my friends try to set me up, and I say like, oh no, not interested. And they're like, well, I'm kind of like at an age where I'm too old to be picky, which anyways.
But I find as you get older, you become more picky.
I think it's a good thing.
habit.
Yeah. And so, but the thing is what I've learned, because my last relationship, there wasn't any I didn't really like him.
You were in a relationship though? 3 years?
He was no good.
And you
And I
lasted that long in it.
Well, I'm a people pleaser. Look at my shirt, people pleaser.
Sure.
I'm working on that though. But anyways,
So you just belabored a relationship for 3 years, even though you just were like 0% into it?
yeah, so that's why my next relationship, I'm like, I think
I
my
have to
standard
like
is I
him.
want to like the guy. Well, people are setting me up and I know I'm not going to like them. That's all I want is to like them.
Well,
and
that's a
now
good
I'm at
one.
a place where I'm okay being single.
That's
Just to that.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Everyone's trying to set me up, and I'm very
I'm fine.
content. If I never meet a guy, I never meet a guy.
That's great.
Well,
Do you like
this
that
show.
attitude?
Well, I mean, I was at that point. I was content with being single as well. And I was single for like 10 years, like where I was like not in a relationship. Like my last relationship was like before I decided I wanted to move to LA. And then I wound it down. And then I spent 2 years like getting ready to move, saving up money. And I was like, well, I can't date anybody while I'm getting ready to move across the country. So I didn't date anybody that 2 years. Then I moved here and I spent like 5 years establishing my life. I was in no place to date or
And
be
I
in like
think
a
that's
relationship.
important.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I wasn't going to pull somebody into my tumultuous life at that point. So like finally I felt like, wow, we're here now. We got a newer apartment. Life is kind of stable financially. We're ready to date. And then, now I'm
And then
like,
it continues.
and now I'm like, who do I date? Like, that's really where you start looking around. You're like, well, I don't have anybody around. There's no one around
Are you
here.
on Raya?
I got rejected by Raya 3 times.
No.
I got recommended.
I'll submit you.
Yo,
Yeah.
listen, there's been, and this is no offense to you. This is of no offense to you. There have been bigger celebrities that have submitted me, and I still got rejected. But
Oh my
I'm
God.
not doing apps. I did Hinge for 2
Okay.
weeks.
Yeah, I'm off apps too.
Apps are no
I'm
good
just
for me.
waiting in person these days.
Exactly. And that's tough because I realized I go to my apartment and I go to the Comedy Store.
That's what people.
And that's about it.
People are often like, but aren't you meeting people in the audience? And no, I'm not meeting people in the audience.
Well, it's a little different for girls than guys.
Oh, right.
That's
You're
true.
probably meeting people
But here's
in
the
the
problem.
Yeah.
It's still a parasocial relationship. So
What
it's
is
like
parasocial?
Meaning
Big
like
word.
Yeah.
they know quote unquote about you, but you don't know anything about them. Like
Yes.
like if I meet a woman who like is a fan of mine, and it's actually I've gone like a full 180 on this. I used to like hook up with fans and like think that was like, oh, that's how I'm gonna meet somebody. But at the end of the day, it's like they're so far ahead in terms of like their knowledge of you, or at least they think so. So like they're not trying to get to know you anymore.
Because they feel like they already do.
Yeah, even though they definitely don't. And then at the
I have
same
a story
time,
when you're done.
they try to dump their shit onto you in a rapid pace, so it's almost like you catch up, and it's like impossible to just get
It's
to know
not
somebody that way.
balanced.
Yeah, and then also like it's weird when it's a fan because they're a fan of your comedy or whatever. It doesn't necessarily like I don't meet a woman in an audience and like automatically go, this girl wants to fuck me, like a lot of guys do, because it's like this girl's just a fan of you. She could just like your comedy and think you're funny. That doesn't mean she wants to fuck you. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So it's
wow.
like
She may be there for the fries.
exactly. So
You
it's a
never know.
weird.
well, no, if she's a fan.
No. That's what I'm like. If she comes, like I had 2 women come up to me like wearing jean jackets that they like made of me,
Oh, that's fan.
and someone was
Fan.
like,
Mm-hmm.
someone's like, oh, you're gonna fuck that girl. I'm like, I don't. They're just fans of mine. They're not like up my ass to like have sex or whatever, you know. So
Well, apparently, again, just getting back to creativity, we
Sure.
got to look for these little synchronicities.
mm-hmm.
So
What do you
when
mean?
things happen, when fans come up or girls are interested or things are moving and grooving, you can open the door.
Sure.
You can see what's going on.
Oh, I've opened a few doors.
Okay. I just don't want you to rule them
Well,
out. You know?
I just went out the other night and I was standing at a bar and a guy goes, Chase? And I said, yeah, I never know if I actually know the person. And he said, oh no, I'm just a fan. I follow you. I think you're very
Which
funny.
is very cool. I gotta say.
Right.
to
And I
be
was like, oh, that's so
recognized.
cool. That doesn't happen very often. Cool. And I was like, look where the universe took me. I'm standing across from someone. Maybe he's the one. And I'm talking to him. We're talking. He's, starting to give me notes on my comedy, which I
Okay.
didn't like.
Okay.
But I'm like, maybe he's the one. And then his fiance taps him on the shoulder and he's like, oh, this is my fiance.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she goes, hi. And is very like, it's the most awkward situation
That's
ever.
wild.
And then he started giving me more notes and he
Oh
told
my
me,
gosh.
If he's a fan,
how
why is he
mean
giving
do
you notes?
Oh, he said, how mean do you want me to get? And I said, I don't want you to get mean at all.
yeah.
And
Go
he was
away.
like, I just don't know if you're showing up all the way in your work and blah, blah, blah. And then the experience turned negative pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'd say.
But,
Yeah.
but I thought maybe for a second that this fan...
The universe brought you two together in this magical
Yeah.
way.
That's the thing, like
Yeah.
when a girl comes up to you after a show, and like I have low self-esteem, so like when a girl that's very pretty comes up to you after a show and is like, oh, I love you, big fan, blah blah blah, you're like, well, this girl's clearly in love with me. This
Clearly.
is amazing, and like you get excited about it, but it's not the case.
Well, I've been such a fan of people.
You have.
As you guys, you
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
know. My obsession with Dylan and Cole Sprouse of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
It goes deep.
I would have dated them in a heartbeat.
Sure.
So I do know fans can translate to like.
Well, yeah, no,
wanna
I mean the
date.
DMs. I went down that road for years, and it was fun and it was great. But then you realize I can't have a meaningful relationship with somebody who is like trying to play catch up all the time in terms of like, or also just like not trying to get to know you in any way because they think they do already, which
Yeah.
is so weird. Basing it off comedy or like podcasting, it's like this is like I'm making jokes. This is
yeah.
a show.
And this guy told me, he's like, oh, you drink? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, well, why aren't you more authentic about that on like the podcast you're on? And I'm like, I'm not hiding that I don't.
Yeah, what does
And
that
I was like,
mean?
I'm being
Right.
very authentic to myself because I'm the type of person that wouldn't talk about it that much. And I'm being very me.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You don't know me.
Yeah, clearly
You don't know
are
me.
Don't
like
know
what are you,
me.
my program director? Get the fuck out of here.
I have some notes.
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
Well, you guys are lucky. I mean, I have some fans, but the crochet community.
Yeah, what's that like?
Yeah,
Right.
London.
I have a different type of fan. They enjoy yarn.
Yeah.
They enjoy crochet hooks. They enjoy
They're
not
a little
to stereotype. Some cats are slightly older.
That's so funny,
but
the
I
crochet
love
fan community.
it.
Of course.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
sweet.
But it
Her
removes
fans are
the
the
whole.
sweetest.
I don't have to think about the whole dating pool
Yeah.
when it comes to my fans. It's a very different demographic.
That's true.
And I mean, it's nice. You guys should be lucky that you have possibly the option. But
Well, here's the thing that I find perplexing.
yeah, another big word.
I was just
I-
going to say the same thing.
Oh my
You
gosh.
choke. Oh
And
no.
I choked because you said the same
was
thing
so
I was going to say. Okay. go on.
I as a guy, you know, I feel as though it's hard for me to date a woman out of context. Like I can't tell you the last woman that was attracted to me that didn't know I was a comedian or a
That's
podcaster.
tough.
So I never thought about that my whole life. I mean, I lost my virginity because I performed and then the girl slept with me. You know what I'm saying? So like I've never just been like a guy at a thing and some girl was like, who's that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whereas
like
a
your
woman
mind.
is the opposite. A female comic. I know so many female comics who go like, I tell them I'm a comedian on the 4th date. And you're
Right.
like, how did you get the date to begin with that? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Well, I don't think guys like girls to be stand-up
I
comics.
do, but guys in general,
Chase
yes.
leads with motorcycle mechanic.
I do.
I know,
her
that's
job,
so
'cause-
funny.
But
I do anything to get away from
Being
a stand-up.
I know. And I wish I could, I mean, I wonder if I experimented with that, like on a dating app, if like what it would yield.
yeah, try
Say that
investment
you're
I'll
banking.
just
NASA
find something
guy.
that makes the same money as I make so I can just lie
Yeah.
about it.
Aerospace.
Aerospace.
Aerospace
but here's-
engineer.
this is the problem with your strategies like that.
Okay.
They open up questions that I
Right.
can't answer. Like
Yeah, well, you eventually have to tell them.
But you're a
that you were
comedian.
lying.
You can riff. You can.
I can't
you can
riff on
giggle, you can-
aerospace.
I mean, come on.
Oh, you know,
Uranus?
the
That's
zenith.
hilarious.
The zenith was 80 degrees or whatever, and then I'm like, fucked, you know.
I same
right?
night.
I try to look at Rob like that was a real thing.
Same
I mean, I believe it.
the same night that I met this guy that was giving me notes, I met a guy that was an aerospace engineer. This is why I say it. And he was going on and on and on
About space.
how he was the first person to put a satellite on the moon and Jupiter, and he's a big deal.
No, he
blah, blah.
wasn't.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
what
I
are
mean,
we,
come on, the
Googling this?
ego.
How old are you? 58 years old?
He's 31. And I have to tell you, I was like, blah, blah, blah. I could care less. And I was like, if he was sitting here talking about The Bachelor and the ins and outs of what it's like being a producer on The Bachelor, I would have been all ears.
That's so funny.
And then I thought, what does this say about me and who I'm going to end up with?
You were having a lot of internal monologues that evening.
I really was.
That was
I actually wrote 30 minutes of comedy that night.
I am attracted to accomplished women.
Oh, that's
I've learned.
Me too.
wonderful.
Like I
Accomplished men.
even like in terms of stand up, like I am in awe of women who are like successful in the same industry as me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand these guys that are not, but I love a performer. I just like someone who's ambitious because I dated a girl who had no job. She was a babysitter and she was like finishing college.
That's a job.
I guess.
I've been a babysitter.
You've been a babysitter, but it's not like your end game.
Okay.
You weren't. You know what I mean? You
I
weren't,
mean, a nanny in France sounds lovely.
And they make
yeah.
good money.
If she wanted to be a nanny in France, an au pair or something, I would have been like so stoked.
Bingo.
Compared to what she was, which was just she would babysit for like the Stevens down the street and then
Right.
bartend once in a while.
Right.
So I'm like,
We
well,
like
what do you,
ambition.
Yeah, I was like, what do you want to do? Like, you're gonna graduate soon, you know? I don't know. And it just was like I would just like shut off. Like,
you
it
want to
was-
know what you needed to do? Give her the artist's way.
She's not an artist.
Here's 12. Everyone's an artist.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
Josh,
she just
Josh,
had no,
Josh, you
I
didn't know?
I didn't know that.
Everyone's
Everyone's an artist
I don't know
if
if
you
we should-
really dig deep.
I don't know if I want to facilitate that in the world.
I
That theory.
do.
Well, we have a little segue here that I'd love
Yeah.
to jump on.
Okay.
What's
Okay,
that?
this is the segue. You are ambitious and you're following your dreams. You
I'm
are.
somewhat. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it would be interesting to hear your origin story. What made you say, I'm going to follow my dreams, because I think a lot of people get scared and
Yep.
the idea of doing it is great, but actually acting on it is a very scary thing. So what's your story of how you went from being Josh Potter,
That's
the
interesting.
guy, to Josh Potter, the stand-up?
I think I was very much more ambitious in my youth, and I was so ballsy. This is before I like discovered drugs and alcohol and everything else. But I was like so ballsy. I was like 15, 16, and I just like bullied my way into like being on air on the radio. And I don't know
How?
what gave me that. I straight up just didn't go home. I got an internship, and then I just kept sticking around.
You
and I
were a
learned how to do
fan-
everyone's jobs.
You were
Okay.
a fan of talk show radios.
Yes.
And you were like, that's what I want to do.
I heard, like, there was a morning show in my city, and I would listen to it every day, and I go, man, how...
Was
like,
it the
would
Ryan
just-
Seacrest morning
No,
show?
no.
Oh, I loved Ryan.
was
That's
not
what we
on.
would listen to.
Oh my gosh.
The version of Ryan Seacrest was like Janet in the Pickle, it was called, and it was on Kiss 98.5. I was on what was like the Howard Stern of local radio at the
Okay.
time.
That's
of
pretty
It
big.
was the
I mean,
Shred and
big
Reagan.
deal. In
Well,
New
I mean,
York.
I just mean in terms of like, it was in Buffalo for the record. And it
New
was
York.
market
Still New York.
53. I mean, but it was still a big deal for me. Because
Practically
like,
Canada.
it does get into Toronto. But I listened to them religiously, and I was obsessed. I was like, this is so funny. How cool would it be like one of the guys on that show? And I would like fantasize about that.
Manifest, perhaps.
I
some would
kind
say.
of, I did, I guess, because then I remember they have internships, you know, like you can get school credit, and like ninth period, you go do an internship. So I was like, I want my internship to be
Ninth
with
period.
the
I know,
radio.
I had, like,
so many periods.
Six at the
Yeah.
most.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
my
you're
senior
spending
year?
your whole day in
I
school.
was out by lunch.
Okay, well, hell.
Yikes.
Okay, yikes.
So ninth period.
Yeah. I'd go. So I went and I did a sales internship with the people who sold the advertising for the radio station. And I was there, and I was like, you know, maybe I never thought I thought maybe I'll just be like learn how to do the sales. That'd be a cool job to sell the ads. Like I liked advertising. I thought like,
You were really thinking business at 15.
yeah.
Wow.
And I was there, and I'm like, I'd see the guys I wanted to like be, you know, and I was like, oh man. So I emailed one of them from like the desk like outside his office, and I just emailed him, and I was like, I want to do this. He's like, all right, come have a meeting with me or whatever. And I had a meeting with him. He's like, well, once school ends for the summer, you can come be an intern. And I came, and I just sat in a room for like the first week, not doing anything. They forgot I was there.
This is what the Artist Way is talking about. And you had this ambition, but you were also so young that
And
you,
naive,
You
like,
didn't,
You didn't
have
have
the like
blocks or-
blocks
Yes.
that told you not to do it.
The way I got
So-
hired was I told them there was a woman I learned how to do minor production editing, and I was teaching the person they just hired to cut up their clips. And I was like, at one point I was teaching her and she wasn't getting it, and I just went into my boss's office. I go, why don't you just fire her and hire me to do it?
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, he's like, all right, yeah. And then he just did.
So this is exactly what we've been reading in the Artist Way, is like, just take little small action steps and see what happens and see what comes back to you. And you got all these like yeses because you didn't have any.
Concern. Like
Any
there was no
concern.
downside if this doesn't
Oh yeah,
happen.
if they say no, it's
I'll
like,
still
what
be
do I?
fine.
Yeah, I
I'm
was like, I thought I was like a wonderkind. I was like 16. I'm like, who gives a shit if I don't?
The pressure wasn't there,
Yeah.
and you could have just gone in a ninth period.
I was like, I'm
doing
gonna get
something
paid
else.
to be on the radio at 16. I was like, I don't even care how much they didn't pay me they barely paid me, but it was like, I go, well, I'm making more money than my friends.
Yeah.
who are
I mean,
are
that's
like
so cool.
my friends are like a paper boy, and I'm on the radio
So you got into it at 16.
How long did you stay there for?
Yeah.
until I
what's
was
next?
30 years old.
Oh,
31
what?
years old.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And you
I mean, I
worked your
stayed
way
until I
up?
moved here.
Did you go
Not
to
really.
college?
I was basically, I mean, by work your way up, do you mean they heaped other positions onto me the entire time while they eliminated salaries?
Sure.
Yeah, no, that was basically the best way I could go about it.
But
But
then when did stand-up start? Because you were obviously
I started
doing
stand up
that.
when I was 22.
And tell us
Okay.
how you got into that journey.
Well, because I was on the radio and I was writing comedy for this show, and I was doing characters and I was doing bits, and all my like heroes, I guess you could call them.
Who?
I mean, they're
Tell
not
me,
really
share.
heroes, but there's like people that you can look to in the business. Like on Opie and Anthony, there was like Jim Norton, who was their third mic, and he did stand up. and he was like the third guy on their show. Howard Stern had like Artie Lang, who's like a side guy.
Okay.
And he would go do stand up, and I'm like, I remember I would like I like stand up. I had friends who did it and everything like that, and I just didn't know how to do it. I'm like, maybe that's a thing to do. And I remember I went to a show, and another guy that worked on our radio station, he did it, and he like got laughs, and it wasn't good. And I remember going like, well, that's all it is. And I started trying, and I asked my buddy who was a comic, a local comic, he'd come in and do the radio with me, and I'd be like, how do I get started in this? And he showed me like where the open mics were, and then I just like kind of hit the ground, and people would book me because I was on the radio. So I mean, I would get like bar shows and stuff.
Now, the
Wow.
first time I did stand up, I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
I took 5
So
shots
many
of vodka.
shots.
I was so scared out of my mind. It seems like you were like, whatever.
I've always been, and I've always gotten off on public speaking, no matter what it is.
So that's helpful anyways
it's my
to have a
only
natural.
tangible talent, I feel like, is speaking to a crowd.
Which is so crazy because they say the number one fear in humans is public speaking.
and that always made me so juiced because I love it. If
It's
you
so
give me
cool.
an audience, oh my Lord, I have a harder
No
time.
nerves.
I have a harder time with like 3 people in the room.
But like
I like look
100,
at my
you're
shoes.
good to go.
Oh, the more the better.
Really?
It seems more
No
disconnected.
fear.
No fear.
Would you say you're an extrovert because like you
No.
like right? So like, but 3 people when you're speaking,
I'm looking at
is
my
more
shoes. I'm
challenging.
blushing.
But in
Yes.
front of a big crowd, you're good.
Oh, it's easiest.
Interesting.
It's
Wow,
like
you
disconnected.
just like, you're not like, I hope they like me. I hope they laugh. You don't care.
No, I mean, even if it's not a comedy context, like, I don't, like, if somebody was like, we have to say, like, if you're just, like, in the back of a thing and there's a crowd of people waiting for, like, the word on something and they're like, who's going to tell them? I'll be like, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
You'll
Like,
be
Yeah.
like,
I'd
please
love
sit
that.
down. The show's about to begin.
Yes.
And
I remember I was in band, and when
what,
I had
what
my,
instrument?
I played alto saxophone.
Yes, you
Ooh.
did.
And when I had eye surgery, though, I couldn't play because it's like the pressure or whatever. So like the band, like for the recital or whatever they call it, the concert, they had me like MC it.
Okay.
And
Was
like
this
they-
high school?
Yes.
Was this the first time you learned that you were great at public speaking?
No.
He was
I
on the
loved it
radio.
already. No, I
Okay.
wasn't quite on the radio.
Oh,
This
okay.
might be middle school actually, 7th grade.
That's
Okay.
when I was in band.
Yeah.
Same.
And same with
It
London.
was middle school. I quit by high
Percussion,
school.
clarinet.
Yeah, I quit by high school.
Same.
Same.
So I was in like 7th grade, and I had done some things like public speaking where it just like it gave me this electricity. And in this case though, this is the first time I like got a laugh from a audience, like a whole theater of people. And it's because I just like, they gave me notes of what to say when I go up there, and I like riffed a joke or something.
That takes so much
Do you remember the
courage.
joke?
It was about, because during the concert there was a very important hockey game happening, and I would just slip in little details about the hockey game. I'm like,
Oh, that's
by the way,
funny.
the Sabres are up 3-2 in the second period. And then people like cracked up, and I was like, what was that? I go, I want to do that every. So then I got
It's
so
such
into
a,
that.
a power,
Yes.
like,
And I,
superhero move to make people laugh.
the band, who's the guy, fucking
Conductor?
Mr. Lieberman was his
Oh.
name.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was like
sure.
our band teacher. He did not approve, because I started going up there and really hamming it. After I got that first laugh, I'm like, I'm the star of this fucking show. And I'd go up there and really like, I'd get another one, and he'd be like, you're taking away from. He was not very excited about it. But everyone's like, you were so good. Like afterwards, I didn't even play a fucking song, you know?
Yeah, you were the best.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember my first laugh.
Ooh.
It
Oh,
was,
what was it?
It was at Trader Joe's. Oh my gosh, I made the cashier
What
crack
happened?
up.
How old are you?
Oh, I was like 20. I don't
Your
do this
first
professionally.
laugh
I don't
was at 20?
No, I mean from like a crowd.
Was it a crowd? It was a one cashier.
It was like 3. They were all
Oh,
huddled
okay.
around.
What'd you say?
Well, they were talking about how annoying it is when people tell them how to pack the groceries. So when they started packing mine, I was like, oh, put the soft foods on the bottom. Oh my gosh, they died. I'm laughing just thinking about it.
Oh,
so I
my
get
Lord.
it. I get it.
Yeah.
You were really proud of
Oh, still did it. That's why I knew you
I
know.
can't believe you remembered it.
How could I not?
It's her first laugh.
my first laugh.
First public laugh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. See, London's actually really funny. She's one of the funniest people I know.
Thanks, Chase.
But like, it's because you'll make comments.
subtle.
It's subtle. She like will do it. She does what
You're a
we
sniper.
call like a circle.
Yes.
when you like
Callbacks.
Callbacks. She does callbacks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She's just smart.
But
I have a tough
yeah.
time with those. Those go like whoosh. Because
She's a
sometimes people do
callback queen.
callbacks and I'm like, huh? And they're like from before. I go, oh.
She's a callback queen.
Thanks.
I'm tough at puns too.
Really?
Really?
Like when people do puns, I'm like, I'll just move on, and they're like, "Oh, you didn't catch it."
You didn't get it.
Yeah. And I go, "Oh, wait, what?"
It's such a skill to
Well,
be good at puns. Ugh.
So, not to change the punny topic there, but so you were working there till you were 31.
Yeah.
What inspired you to make the move across the country?
Work, really? I mean, I just got offered a tour, and Tom was like, "I'll give you the rest of this tour if you just move to LA because it'll be easier to."
He met you in Buffalo?
Yeah, I met him, and I did the road with him for 5 years before I moved to LA.
Wow. I love how you guys are on like first name basis with Tom.
I mean,
Tom Segura.
It was yes. I'm sorry.
For anybody who doesn't know.
Tom Segura.
Segura. Segura. How do you say it, Josh?
I think it's Segura.
It's
Tom
Segura.
Segura,
Segura.
comedian. Look him
I
up.
think
Josh.
it's Segura. Big deal.
Yeah.
So you were doing stand-up. You were just following your passion, and as fate would have it,
I was
Tom-
working quite a bit. I mean, I was doing what I thought I was going to just do forever, which was like middle on the road or whatever, and I was fine with that. I was like,
What does middle mean? You mean someone
Just
opens
featuring,
and
you
then
know?
you are in the middle and then there's the big act?
yeah, you're the feature. You
Okay.
get to do. It's the cherriest job. You do 25 minutes.
Chase,
It's
is
like,
that what you
oh.
do for Christina?
Mhm, but I don't. She doesn't have an opener, so I host and feature.
Okay.
It became that eventually
Yeah.
with Tom, but yeah, I mean, I thought I was just going to be a road guy, and then I worked with him on the road, and then he started like his career just took off. And when I started with him, his career was kind of like where mine is now. I would say a little bit, as I hope at least, you know.
Definitely.
And
You're a big deal, Josh.
well, I mean, like he was like, you know, some people came out to see him, and some people were just like there, you know.
Did anyone have jackets?
People did have like at the time when I first met him, I didn't know anything about Your Mom's House. I didn't know like there were people like, you know, wearing mom jeans to the show. And they're like, my jeans are high and tight. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And then he was like, oh, it's from my podcast. I do it with my wife and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, wow, okay. And then from there on out, it was just like, wow.
So, and another question I have, going back to the Artist Way, which we've been doing week by week on the show.
We're on week 4.
We're on week
by the
4.
way.
Oh, real quick, by the way, I'm sorry. Eventually, stand-up, I was making more money than radio. So I was able to like be
I
like,
love that.
which wasn't hard, by the way.
And can we
It was
cheers?
a very small
because,
amount of
right.
yeah, money.
You weren't getting.
I
Are you
was
done
getting-
with your drink?
Yeah,
I'm almost done too.
A big topic that's been happening is like a lot of times parents aren't that supportive. It seems like your parents were thrilled, or what?
Oh, I don't
was
know.
It
I mean-
hard? Did they want you to go into a normal
this,
line of work?
I don't know if they are or they were. They definitely weren't thrilled for a while there.
Scale of 1 to 10.
Well, here's the thing.
10
my
being the
parents,
highest.
Yeah,
my
10
parents
being
and I have a
thrilled.
very like. I know my parents love me and they know I love them, but we don't. I was very, I know it all, a little too early. And when I started working in the radio, they were like proud of me, but then it started going like, this company's taking advantage of you. Does this seem like a dead end road? You know, that kind of thing. They would have those talks with me, and there was a lot of worry.
They were supportive but worried.
Yes.
Okay.
And so then I started doing stand up, and they're like, okay, but like, what are we doing here? Like, where's this going? They
Because
didn't.
they're not in the arts. What do your parents
No,
do?
my mom's a waitress, and my dad's a manager of restaurants. And now I mean, he's
Service.
retired.
So they were
Food.
nervous.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I always was like, well, I don't ever want to do what you do, you know? And they didn't want me to either, but it was like I said, I remember my dad just being like, so what's the plan here?
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to get better at this and like make it my job. And hopefully I'll make more money when I'm older. And now I gave them both $10,000 and I said, I never want to hear about worry ever again.
Oh, both of them.
Well, they're divorced.
Oh, okay.
So I
That
couldn't
is
just do
so-
one.
Yeah. That is
And I
so
go, there you go.
kind.
It was, you say, aw. Mine was like, fuck you. Here's 10 grand. Now what?
Have
You
they
know?
gotten off your back?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good.
My mom, though, this is fucked up. Just recently, I went home and my mom goes, you still work in that office?
What? what?
I go, where do you think this money's? You think I'm the manager of an office or something? Like, what do you think I'm doing here? I'm on the road. I'm doing fucking. She doesn't even know what a podcast is, so she thinks it's radio.
What I think is so beautiful about this, what I've picked up on, Josh,
Yeah.
is that you went into this without any pressure on yourself. The
Right.
whole time it seems like you were like, this is fun. I like doing this. Whatever happens, happens. But you weren't like, I have to make it.
Never once.
And
Right.
that is a block that totally stops people. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like you kind of went with the flow and you enjoyed it. And whatever happened,
Well, no, my
happens.
thing was always like, as long as I'm doing this and I'm getting at least by and living, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So not doing it is the failure. Like if I were to
just
like
doing
work,
it
if I were to be
is
a
the win.
waiter or something, that would be the I remember I got like a second job to appease my parents as a stenographer. Like I guess it's a stenographer. I would listen to
Big word.
a
We don't know that
doctor
one either.
a doctor would talk into a thing, he'd be like blah 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 blah, and then I'd have to type out what
Yeah.
he said. And I picked up this as a second job, and it was taking away from me being on the radio. I remember like having to take like 2 days off of the radio to do it, and they were like fine with it because my salary was so low. They're like, well, he's got to make some money.
Right.
So while I'm there, I'm just frustrated, and I would just feel this like panic of like, this job is dead end to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it didn't last long. Same with the office job I had while I was here. I knew I needed it. It was like a means to an end, but I blew that off like you wouldn't believe. Like it just wasn't invested in it. So like I didn't learn how to be good at it. I didn't I didn't want to be there. It was just like, I need this check
Yeah.
to live in the world.
Well, I love that you're saying that though, because I kind of was the same way. Like being able to have a job though to help pay for bills while you're pursuing what you love really does help take that pressure off of having to make it.
Yes.
Because you have a way to pay your rent, you have a way to do the day to day, and that's enough. And then you
London
can.
was at the Apple store for 6 years.
5 years. I worked at the Apple store
I
and
tried to
started.
get a job that they didn't hire me.
Oh, it was great. I'll refer
When I
you.
moved here, I was like, I got to get an Apple store job.
Right. Well, I'm still like, for me, my backup, I'm like, well, I guess now I can go back as a manager at Apple if this
Sure.
doesn't work out. But like, it was so helpful having a job though to cover just the basics to let yourself be free and do what you love at the same time until you're able to support yourself
But
doing
what
it.
you guys, well, I guess you didn't love your job.
No.
I hated. I've had, I think, every job, like a service job in the world, and I was miserable. And there was a big moment of like, this is actually my life, even though I'm pursuing something else. And because the pursuing it hasn't happened or taken off yet, my life is just being miserable. And there was a big shift like, oh, just because I want something in the future doesn't mean I need to be miserable right
Right.
now. And I had to figure out what job is going to make me happy.
I was so entrenched in radio, I never really had a real job that whole time. And so when I moved here and I had to get an office job, I was actually very excited that I was hired by anybody. Because I thought I was like unhireable. I have no resume.
was
I
this
dropped
a
out of college.
stenographer? What was
No,
this?
I got a job. Like I don't even really know how to explain it. It's like I worked for a medical billing company where it's like I had to call on behalf of a clinic insurance companies and like settle claims. I don't even remember exactly what I
Yeah,
was
that
doing.
does seem a little different.
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah.
I can't believe I got hired. I have no experience. They hired me because I like crushed an interview and knew Excel, and they were like, "This guy's cool. We'll hire him." And I guess it is like they could hire basically an idiot to do it and then teach them how to do it. But I was like, I said, I was focused on my career in stand up, and I just needed this as a check. So I wasn't like trying to be the best medical bill guy or whatever the hell. And I was only there for 6 months though, but it was something like nice about it at first where I go, well, at least I know I'm not like destitute in the world. I can
Yeah.
get a job, because I was like applying for such dog shit jobs and I wasn't getting anything. And I remember somebody was like, hey man, why don't you aim just like slightly higher?
And it worked out.
Yeah, I got one right away because I was going for like, I want to be I was like, I'll work at Burger King or I'll work at fucking Target as a cashier.
Right.
And people were like, they know that you are doing this so you can leave. Like aim just like slightly higher and you'll be able to get a job.
So, okay,
Interesting.
we've been playing what you would be in an alternate
This is our
life.
favorite game.
I don't know.
If
No,
you
no, no.
didn't, you can't
No.
choose what you do now.
5 alternate lives.
I would be
Do
the
you want
cost-
some examples?
Do I mean, is this like dreams.
Yes,
Yes.
I said costume designer of the CIA.
She
So-
said
Whoa.
world traveler, just a what's it like? A
Jet setter.
Jet setter. I said dog walker. What?
What?
you can. So there's a range.
It could be anything in an alternate life. That's whatever you want.
I'd love to be a baseball player, but
yes,
There you
bingo,
go.
great
yeah,
Bingo.
one.
that would be
Good one.
amazing. I
Okay.
mean, what a life.
Next,
I was gonna say fighter jet pilot.
yes,
like Top Gun.
Yes.
yes, fun.
There was something really sweet about Top Gun. It almost seemed like acting or like an art, like where he was like just holding on. He's like, someday they're not going to let me fly these planes anymore. And I was like, wow, that's a real thing.
Yeah,
that could
wow.
happen to these guys. So I have to pick 5. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
boy.
sure.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
3 more.
I'd love to be the general manager of a football team.
Ooh, fun.
Okay.
You get like the best seats in the house any game you want.
Well, not only that, you get to like draft players. You get to like sign people. You get to like decide who's doing what. You know, like.
So you're a big
lineups.
sports guy.
He's
Oh,
a
yeah,
sports
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So, I mean, there's like a part of me that like goes, can I still be the general manager of my favorite? Like, of course. I don't think so. No, I mean, you got to have like a law degree. You got to like know how finances work. I can't even like balance a checkbook, let alone the salary cap of the Buffalo
You
Bills.
settled insurance claims. You
I
can
didn't do really good.
anything.
There was a lot of meetings about my claims. What else
2 more.
could I do? Let's see.
Alternate life, like it's not this universe.
I mean, I know you said I can't. I wish like I worked in radio when it was really a big deal. Like,
When was that? The 50s, 60s?
well, yeah,
70s?
like probably like the apex was like the 80s.
Ah.
But like it was huge. But I mean, the 50s.
That's all you had.
There are people who were like the nighttime DJ, which I was amongst many other jobs too, and they were making like $500,000 a year or something crazy, like $500,000, or they were major celebrities. Do you know what I mean? Like they were just big deals.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish I was like back in the day on the radio. Like,
Okay.
because also like there was like Wolfman Jack. Everyone's like, no one knows what Wolfman Jack looks like.
right,
He's
you
just,
have
like,
your
there's like a
anonymity.
mystique or like
Yes.
a mystery, and then
Yeah.
so I would like to have done that, even though I kind of did to a degree before it all went to hell. And I need one more.
One more.
more.
Make it a good one.
I got a suggestion for you, Josh.
Well, I want to
okay.
hear yours, but I'm gonna say mine. This is kind of like it's gonna get a reaction, I assume. I think I just want to be a dad.
Oh, yeah, that's sweet. What were you going to say, Rob?
I think Josh would make a great host for like a classic game show.
I don't think that's out of the cards, though.
Okay.
In
That could
terms
still
of
be
real
this
life, I
life.
think I could do that still. Yeah,
I
I'd
do
like to
too.
do that. Like, I even like.
I think you can still be a dad, too.
Same.
I think that's still in the cards for you, Josh.
I'm already counting it out. I've already resigned myself to stepdad at this point.
What show would you want to host? Like Deal or No Deal? I don't
Oh,
think
I
that's
would do.
on,
I would
but
like to do all of them, but I would
all
like.
of them.
American
I still
Idol.
think I could do.
Price is Right.
I feel like I really do feel like a Swiss Army knife. You could put me into any of those shows, and just be like, "Oh my God, the host is dead. We need one right now." I'd be like, "I can do it. Give me the cards. Give me
You
the bullets."
You could go.
I love that confidence.
You'd throw in little hockey tidbits
love it.
throughout the
Yeah,
show
right.
to
Yeah.
make them giggle.
There's a callback.
There you go.
I picked it up.
So good. London writes a lot of my stand-up.
And a lot
yeah?
is a very
She's written
loose
3
term.
jokes that I don't use, but she can write
Well,
a joke.
dust them off.
Yeah. I keep telling her. There's some gems.
I went to the beach the other day to pick up trash.
I got a few numbers.
That's good.
All London. Anyways, we're look at the time.
It's
We're-
flying by.
we're
We
just-
keep it a tight 60s.
Oh, that's
So
what I do too.
I
That
was-
thing hits an hour. I go, well, we'll see you next week.
But I
Yeah.
wanted to ask,
Yeah.
just to wrap this all up,
Sure.
if someone's listening and wants to go into a career such as yours, what advice do you give someone looking to get into stand-up and podcasting?
I mean, you got to just do it. It's like, it's the dumbest advice ever. Everyone says it, but it's like, it's honest to God true. It's like, until you do it, you don't know anything. You don't even know where you stand. And what's the alternative? Not doing it? You're already not doing it. So it's like, it never made sense to me. The people that are like, I'm going to get started. It's like, you're too late.
Should have already started.
already should have started. Yeah, you're already behind. So you might as well get that first one out of the way. When stand-up in particular, everyone's like coveting that first set as being like a big deal. But it's the most inconsequential moment you'll ever have in stand-up. No matter if it goes good or if it goes bad, it's inconsequential because you have to do it a trillion more times.
Oh my God.
So it literally doesn't matter
Yeah.
how it goes at all. You might as well get it over with because it doesn't count anyways, you know? So the more you hem and haw it, you're just putting that off the thing you have to get over with.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So just get it over with and do it. And I think a big lesson I learned from your journey is take the pressure off. Just do it and take the pressure off because you're already winning by just doing it.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
that's truly the thing. It's like, that's what I always thought too. I was like, well, I'm not my dad. I'm not working at a restaurant like my dad who hates his life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was always like winning in terms of that. And I always thought it was like this weird double-edged sword. It's like I had friends who hate their jobs, but then when they go home, their life is nice because they make decent money. I would have the opposite. I loved being at work. I was obsessed with it. I loved being on the radio. And then I'd go home and I'd be like, this is hell. Because I'd have no money or I'd have to deal with
It
like
is a toss-up.
bills
Yeah.
or whatever. So it's like, what would you prefer though? Do you know
Do
what I
what
mean?
you love.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'd rather have fun at work and like have my day-to-day like life be fulfilling in that way. And then like, oh sure, I have to go back to my shitty apartment, but like,
But
you know.
eventually,
It did-
one thing
yeah.
led to the other,
And it gets better.
It
gets
doesn't go
better.
the other way around though. If you have a shitty existence in your job, there's no finding love in that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, I was doing it and like I had no fun in a 9-to-5 job at all. And I was like, I have to change this. And I made a list of things that I love to do. And crocheting was always on the top of the list. And I was like, I got to just start.
That's
Like-
crazy. I mean, yours is extra crazy because, like, for us, it's like there are other comedians. I
Right,
don't know. I
you
mean,
were,
maybe
like,
you know,
the
like,
first-
There's
No,
not
yeah,
many
yeah.
crochet street artists.
Lyndon made crochet, like, was one of the first.
you're like a graffiti artist with crochet. It's like the only thing. You're like, who do you call when you're like, you can never guess what happened today? You know what I
Well,
mean?
you
Like,
follow the same book. It's like, well, you got to just start. You got to just do it.
Sure.
And like you kind of follow the same steps as any entrepreneur or anybody that's trying to do something different than their parents or the people they're used to surrounding themselves with. So
And what I love this is you were supporting yourself. You got a job. You weren't just handed money to
No.
go do what you love. And
handed money.
well, I
right.
think a lot of people
I had
also
had
think
money.
it's like, oh, you have to have money to go
Right.
pursue your dream. And I
No.
like that this is showing you.
No, there's a reason, and I actually like romanticize like the starving artist thing so much. Like, I love like a person that's like a painter, and they're like, oh god, I have like, I don't know what I try not to romanticize it because I feel like it'll just suck me back into living that life.
no,
you know what I mean?
no.
But, like,
Picasso's story is rough.
oh, it's so beautiful though. It's like
It is.
a guy who's just like a drunk and he's got this shitty apartment and he's like, well, I got to paint something now so I can get through the next year. And then, I think that's awesome. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's something about
it's
it.
a beautiful life.
But it's a torturous life. I feel like doing
Oh, but
it.
it's like a beautiful torture.
Oh,
It's a beautiful torture.
Torture is you go to the cube every day and you want to hang yourself and it's like,
The cube.
the cube.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
your desk.
yeah.
The cubicle.
the
Is that what
cubicle.
the
Yeah,
kids say?
exactly.
The
You go to
cube.
this cubicle every day and you're just like, phones are ringing and it's like, I think that's torture. It's like Chinese water torture. Whereas like, I'd rather like be like, what do I have to eat today? Cheese? Cool. And then I just like paint all day and then be like, well, this is garbage, and you throw it out and then like you paint something else and you're like, well, this one's worth $17,000. Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
is
a cool
cool.
life.
I'm going to
That
drink a
is
bottle of wine now.
Cheese, wine, and 17
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah,
I'll
fine.
do that day.
Exactly.
Well, cheers
Oh,
to that,
cheers.
London.
Let me grab
Grab your drink.
my drink.
This
Cheers.
was. I just want to say, Josh,
I've learned so much about you, Josh. This
Well,
has been
thank you.
amazing.
you are officially
Our first
the
guest.
guest of the year. The guest.
You gave it to
Of
me real
the year.
quick. The first one.
I mean, it took
Let
a-
some other people come through first.
You're the
you
guest
know?
of the year.
You're the guest of the year.
First guest of the year.
Chase has a real good feel for people, so
Oh, yeah?
guest of the year.
Well, I was the guest of the year on Josh's show.
No.
You didn't
How
know
did
that?
I not know that?
One day, it was the biggest deal of my year. You didn't know that?
I didn't know. I wasn't there.
Are you kidding me?
should've
2022, big year for
I
Chase.
filmed an acceptance award
Was it
video
like
for
Elon or Chase or? Who was she up against?
All the guests
who
on
were
her
you?
show.
Yeah, I
Every
forget.
guest?
Yes, I was the guest of the year.
The award's named after her now. She's
It's called the Chase O'Donnell Award now.
Chase do you
Is
leave
that
it?
what it's called?
yeah.
Is there an apostrophe in O'Donnell? Because sometimes I take it out.
We can put it in there.
No, I'll leave it out.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's spelled with an
It's-
apostrophe.
Yeah. I
also.
mean, I think
It has an apostrophe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, on that note, thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
so
thank you
much
for having me. It's
for
an
being
honor.
Yeah. The Josh Potter Award.
Oh, where can people find you?
Yes.
Oh, on the
Oh my
internet.
Okay.
Josh Potter,
Two
the Josh
Ts?
Potter Show, 2 T's. Josh_Potter on Instagram and J_Potter on Twitter.
Amazing.
All right. We'll see you soon, Josh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
They're all empty.
They're empty. Not mine.